Available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. One of my viewers wanted me to do a follow-up video to my video where I talked about why I've been out of work for the last 15 years. Now, the viewer wanted me to do a follow-up video because he wanted me to talk about many of the issues that I have been dealing with over the last 15 years that I've been out of work. Now, over the last 15 years, I have been out of work. I know that I'm under a lot of pressure to find another job because I know that I don't have much time to build any sort of credits as related to Social Security for retirement. I mean, right now I have about 12 credits as related to Social Security due to my long-term unemployment. And that's one of the things that puts me under a lot of pressure because at 50 years old, I know that I don't have much time to build any sort of retirement unless I get another full-time job or I wind up being able to find a way to make a living where I can really make some decent money by doing something like getting a large YouTube audience or getting a best-selling book. I mean, these are the things that I deal with every day as related to the pressure I have been under for the last 16 years. And as I've been under that pressure, I know that the clock has been ticking ever since 2008 when I lost my job at the City College of New York when this professor made this allegation that I was sleeping at the desk even though I was standing up, and this black woman basically backed him up. I knew back then I was under a lot of pressure to get another job and try to get these credits up because at 34 years old I was already somewhat behind, but if I were able to keep a job, I'd be able to build up those credits and be able to start laying out a foundation for a retirement. Now, me knowing this, it was a lot of pressure on me, and that pressure was further exacerbated because I really wanted to get this job not only to make a living for myself, but to prove to myself that I could be capable of keeping a job. Because ever since I had the brain aneurysm at 7 years old, people have always questioned my competence and my intelligence, and I wanted to prove how competent and intelligent I was. That was something that I always wanted to prove, and I also wanted to prove to my father that I could go out here and hold and keep a job, because when he was alive, he had a lot of doubts about me being able to take care of myself, and I wanted to go out and prove that I was capable of taking care of myself. These were some of the goals that I had personally for myself as related to my life when I was in my early 30s. And ever since then, I have been persevering and trying to keep going like the Most High told me, trying to keep going after I lost my job. And I was feeling that pressure for years. And with me being 50 years old, I know that I'm running out of time as related to trying to get my life in order. I know this, and it's just been a lot of pressure on me, and those pressures have been taking a toll over the last year as my anxiety has just become in a place where it's starting to become a bit more severe. Now, towards the end of my 49th year of life in this world, this is where I started to have issues. I mean, around February of 2023, I started to have some really bad health issues where my anxiety was making my stomach acid go up, and this was causing me to have heartburn. Now, I thought it was just a heartburn issue, but it was turning out that it was becoming an issue as related to this anxiety, and the anxiety was over the pressures of getting older and getting near 50 and never really being able to have that full-time job or be able to have the things that people have at that age. I mean, this is the anxiety I have been dealing with for the last year, And it's made it where I get this chest pain as related to anxiety sometimes when I start going to walk someplace. And it also makes it where sometimes I wind up getting so sick that it leads to me winding up vomiting. I mean, this is what I have been dealing with as related to my long term unemployment over the last year or so. These are the health issues I have been dealing with, where my mental health is causing my physical health to make me literally physically ill. And this is like the third time I've had to deal with this kind of anxiety. The first time I had to deal with it was when I was in Park West High School and I was getting bullied about having a girlfriend, and I had to come out, and I was in near the 11th grade, and I literally, that anxiety was just overwhelming me. And I didn't know it was anxiety back then. I just thought it was just things that was just happening because of issues with the school, but I found out it was anxiety. The second time I dealt with this anxiety was in 2008 when I first started my job at City College. I mean, I didn't know it was anxiety either. I thought it was just nerves as related to trying to get this job and keep it, because I had lost the job in 2002. And then in 2008, when I got this job, I just started getting this anxiety, but I was able to try to persevere and power through it. But this time it's just been a lot more stressful on me over the last year or so. It just really is a lot of stress because I mean, I know that the clock is running out on me as related to getting that full-time job and being able to just pick everything back up. I mean, what a lot of people don't understand about about a black man out here is that it's hard to start over when you have to start over at least three times in your life. I mean, I had to start over after AmeriCorps when they told me they had no place in their organization in 2001. Had to start over again in 2002. And after I lost a law firm job, and I had to start over again in 2008. And it's very stressful because starting over is very hard, and the older you get, the harder it gets. So I know it's really one of those hard things that is a thing that a person like me has to deal with. I mean, it is hard to start over, and it gets harder with each time when you're trying to start over. And what is really frustrating is you don't really get that much support as you're trying to get yourself together. I mean, you're trying to get yourself together out here, trying to get yourself right, but it's really hard to do that when you're putting in thousands of applications and you never get a call back. And the times that you do get the call back and the interview, what happens is people start playing games and not taking work seriously. No, they want you to come to the interview, and in some cases, what's really frustrating is that some interviews I've gone on, people have just wasted my time. They really weren't serious about looking to hire anyone. And then there are cases where I run into people who just show their hostility, like what I had at the CUNY hiring pools, where you get these women who project all their bad boyfriends and bad husbands on you during the interview and don't try to ask you any questions. I mean, you're looking to try to get your life started, but you can't get anything started. And what happens is you've got these people who have their jobs and they're not thinking about helping you out. You've got the qualifications to do the job. You're presenting yourself professionally. You're going out here showing that you have a work ethic and a positive attitude. But these people come at you with nothing but hostility, and that really affects a person like myself who's been out of work for a long time. You're expected to be professional, but these people act unprofessional during the interviews. Some of them even act unprofessional during the phone calls. I mean, I remember one time when I was at the library and I got a phone call from a prospective employer, and the guy just starts acting a fool and as we're having the call. And again, this is your chance as an employer to show that you are supposed to put a positive first impression on your company. And this person just goes out here and is just acting disrespectful. Again, showing me an example of what a day at this guy's job would be. And it's the kind of thing that I have been dealing with for years as I've been trying to get that job that'll help me get that big break to start my life. I mean, I have been trying to get a full-time job ever since I graduated at the top of my class in 1994, and ever since then I just run into all of this resistance. Meanwhile, I hear about whites and non-blacks who can come in, no experience and no education, but these people, they're given opportunities to start their lives. Me, I can't get a foot in the door anywhere, can't even get a call back from people, and that has really affected me and starting to affect my health these days. And this is what I'm dealing with right now as related to the stress that I'm dealing with. And again, this is something that I am just struggling with because I know that with only 12 credits, I am not going to be able to get any Social Security because you need 40 credits to get Social Security. So I know that's basically done, even with me paying taxes for most of the YouTube AdSense. It's just not going to make that 40 credits, even if I do YouTube for the next 10 to 12 years. I mean, I'm not going to be able to do that because I've been, again, filing taxes for the last couple of years, but I just don't have enough credits because I never got that full-time job to get my life started over again. So that's something that is, again, a lot of stress on me. Now, the viewer wants to say that, I don't really have a lot of investments as related to stocks and bonds, but I do know the collector market. And again, as a toy collector, I know that the toy market is something that I could possibly use to help myself for a little bit. That's what I used to help myself when I wanted to hire Bill Walko to design the cover for the ISIS Wrath of the Cyber Goddess cover. I went out and took parts of my collection that I built over the years and used that to raise the funds. I mean, I sold things like my toy catalogs that I got me and my brother used to go to the toy fair. Back in the 90s, I had a lot of toy catalogs that I sold. I also had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pie wrapper that I was surprised to find out was worth money. I mean, the collectibles basically, they have been the thing that have kept me going after my savings ran out and after my efforts to try to build an audience at places like the Harlem Book Fair failed. It was those collectibles that basically helped me through a rough time, and I wanted to hope to get back on my feet sooner rather than later because I thought that I still had time around 2017, but I didn't have as much time as I thought. I thought I'd be able to get that job and be able to make life better for my father, who really wanted to earn his respect. But my father had dementia, and he was in the final stages of dementia. And the thing that upsets me the most is that I wasn't able to get that job before he passed away because I really wanted to show him I could be a success. And that's something that I really wanted to show him, that I could be a success, that could go out here and accomplish something. I mean, that's one of the things that frustrates me the most. I always wanted to show him my success. I mean, but the whole thing is, I was one of these guys who had skills as a writer, and I wrote lots of books, but the whole thing is, I never really got to share them with my father. I did share my A+ certification with him in 2009, but the whole thing is, I never really was able to share my books with him because people in my family, they really don't really like literature. I mean, most black people, when it comes to the arts and literature, they don't see a value in arts and literature. They don't really see a value in art or literature. No, with most black people, unless it's something that's talking about ghetto or the streets, they don't really see a value in it. And that's the other thing that really kind of frustrates me. I wanted to have that success. I mean, it was a goal of mine to write a best-selling novel. I mean, the best-selling books I've written are the books like A Recipe for Success, which had 1,000 copy sales. The Thetas, which had about 800 copies in sales. And The Man Crisis, which had over 500 paid sales. I mean, I wanted to go out here and I wanted to sell maybe 10, 20,000 copies of a book, or even 100,000 copies, or even a million. That was one of the life goals that I had. And it doesn't look like it's going to get there at all. I'm out here. I put in quality work, but the whole thing is that's another thing that makes me an anxious person these days. And it makes me anxious because, again, at 50 years old, I know that I'm running out of time to do anything in life, because the whole thing is I'm running out of time to do things and I want to get things done. That's something that I really want to do. But the whole thing is, I run into all of this resistance out here. And as I run out of this resistance, people, they know they could help, but they just don't want to. I go to put in these applications, and people out here in the media, they're saying, oh, we need people at these jobs. We need to hire people. But all I get are rejections, because recently, a week ago, I put in a application for J. Crew about a month ago, and I got an email from them saying that they had turned me down. This is what I get all the time, and it really puts a toll on my health. And at this point, all I've got right now for health coverage is Medicaid, because if you make under a certain amount of money, you can get Medicaid. So that's how I was able to deal with what I thought were heartburn issues, but I'm finding to be anxiety issues. So this is the things that I have been dealing with long term as related to unemployment, and I'm still trying to, again, persevere, because, again, I know that I've known that I've been running out of time since I was in my 30s. I knew back then, and I was trying to get things right, but it's hard to get things right when you don't get support, especially when the black community, because a lot of folks, they don't want to look out and help out a brother. No, they just want to see you go down, especially some of these black women, like this pro-black African woman. She had issues with black men and had issues with black men and wanted to get even with I believe, the black men in her life, and took that out, and that's what cost me the job, partially, along with that accusation that wasn't true, because you can't sleep standing up. So that's what I deal with as related to my health these days. And I also am just, again, continuing to persevere. Now, some of the viewers out here, they wanted to go out and say, yeah, you can go out here and call these companies, but you can't call these companies. You can't call these companies once you put in an application. And I was about to put together a video to show people on Indeed that shows you the whole process, that when you put in an application, there are no phone numbers listed. I've gone to different websites, and like Burlington and Target, and once you put in your application, that's it as related to that application, and you have to literally wait for these people to call you, if they call you. But in most cases, all you're gonna get is a form letter, and that's all you're gonna get. And I get people who want to say, well, why don't you apply for jobs in fast food? Well, I have applied for jobs in fast food, and I've applied at jobs in fast food, but they never get back to me. And I've also applied for jobs at places like supermarkets. I remember when the Food Bazaar on 161st Street in my old Bronx neighborhood had a sign up saying that they were looking for people. I went to ask about that job. And when I went to ask for that job, the Arab manager of the store got hostile with me to the point where they were getting defensive and told me there were no jobs. But the whole thing is, you had a sign up saying that there were jobs, and that's the kind of resistance, again, I run into when I go put in for jobs. I've gone to the counter of places and asked about jobs, and people will tell me, oh, you have to go online. I go online, and then I never hear anything. I remember one time when I put in an application for Walgreens in the neighborhood, came back to do the assessment there, and never heard anything at all. But the people there were not being very forthcoming. And again, this is the resistance I run into. But I have people telling me, oh, you're being lazy. Oh, you're not trying. I have been putting in effort basically every day for years. And again, putting in effort and trying to deal with this clock that's running out on me, dealing with this clock that's running out on me, dealing with these rude, hostile, and unprofessional people, dealing with these people who just, for them, it doesn't matter to them until they wind up in that situation, and dealing with these, again, deteriorating health as related to my own mental and physical health. I mean, this is what I've been dealing with for the last couple of years, and I just keep trying to push and keep trying to follow God. That's the only thing that has me keep going out here and continuing to persevere, is listening to the word of God who told me to keep going, because he sees that I'm out here doing my best work. He sees that I'm trying to do something and trying to go out here and work. And the whole thing is, I'm trying to trust in God all through this whole adversity as related to long-term unemployment. I'm trying to continue to follow God and what he said, trying to be faithful to him. That's the only thing that keeps me going, is that I'm trying to trust God and trusting in his word, knowing that there has to be some sort of blessing at the end of things, because I've received small blessings here and there from a sister who put in the donation that allowed me to be able to pay for the Samurai Goddess cover for the ISIS series in 2017. I mean, that sister really gave me some hope. Another sister back in the 2020 gave me the money that allowed me to be able to put the first John Haynes comic out here. I mean, I'm really grateful to that sister. And if it wasn't for those sisters, I wouldn't have gotten this far with building up SJS Direct in improving the quality of the books. And I also have to thank God for Obsidian and the Sean James Initiative, because I wouldn't be this far without his help, sadly, but he's no longer on the air. But the whole thing is, I really, this is where God has put in work on me, because if it wasn't for those things, I wouldn't be here right now to continue on building the SJS Direct imprint. And that imprint is the success that I have, because to get to the point where you could write and publish 80 books, I mean, that is a success to me, but it's not considered a success to a lot of people out here, because according to this world, the only way a black man can have success is if a white person validates them. And that's the whole sad part that I deal with as related to my writing career. I mean, unless some major white person says that it's good, people don't want to say that it's good. Now, people who have read my work, white, black, non-black, they know that it's solid, but the whole thing is that to them, I'm not, but to the rest of the world, I'm not considered a success. I mean, I have gone out here and been able to take projects from concept to manuscript to finished book, but to a lot of people, that's not considered success unless I'm working for a white person. That is the sad part about everything as related to my situation. I mean, I can put in that work, as related to publishing books, and putting in that work as related to going out here and putting in the effort, but it's not considered valuable. And again, that's one of the things that stresses me, because I put in my best efforts on all of my projects for SJS Direct, put in all of my best efforts on my work for a national best-selling author, friend of mine that I really hold dear, because she helped me really get things going to the next level. And went out here, did work for other author at my school, and another author who is a good friend of mine. I mean, I can put in the work, but the work isn't valued. And that's what's really sad, because again, at 50, I know that I'm running out of time, but I want to bring my best to the table. And that's what I want to do in the little time that I have. I mean, I only got maybe, 12, 15 years left as related to being able to make any sort of money to qualify for Social Security, or to build a retirement, or to get things that I always wanted, like a home of my own, and to really get things going. I mean, this is what I wanted to do, and it's, again, a very stressful thing, because I'm trying to get stuff right. But I got people who just, they don't want to work with you. They just want to tell you that you're not the person that they want. Like when I was at Strive, I wasn't the. They said they had no place for me in their organization. Then I go to these jobs and I just run into all of this resistance. And if it wasn't for me working for myself, I wouldn't be, and the help of other brothers and sisters and people in my family, I wouldn't be right where I am right now. And I know the future is a hard one. I've been thinking about that again ever since I was, even before I had got the job at CUNY. I've been thinking about, my plans for the future. I even talked about this with my father, and which I want to get something going. He wanted to see something go. I mean, I remember one time I visited his house and he wanted me to be able to go out here. He thought he could demand that I go to work, but you can't make a demand if people won't make you an offer. And that's the thing that a lot of people who were writing comments don't understand. They don't understand that, yeah, I can put in the application, I can look you dead in the eye for the job interview, but if you don't make an offer, how can I start working for you if you don't make an offer? I mean, you can't make somebody go out here and hire you. I mean, you can't force people to give you a job. No, even for every job out here, either they're going to take you or not. And when I go to the interview, what I run into, again, are rude, unprofessional, and just hostile people. Rude, unprofessional, and hostile people who really, when I listen to them, they really are not interested in really hiring anyone because they leave a bad first impression of their company. I mean, if when I go to a lot of these interviews, what's really interesting to me is this is your shot to show that what it's like to work here, and what these people do is show me their ass when they're out here, and showing me their ass when they're out here doesn't really show me that this is a good company. But I'm not looking at that company. No, I'm looking to try to build my life up. And I also run into people who want to get their emotional needs met, these insecure people who want friends on the job. And I know from real life that all of that friend stuff and that family stuff, this is what fucks up people at these jobs, because as they blur these boundaries, what happens is they basically create situations where their company basically becomes a complete mess. But I'm trying to get my life together. I've been trying to do that for the last 15 years. And as I've been trying to do that for the last 15 years, my anxiety has basically gone off the charts over the last year, because I know these pressures. My family knows these pressures. And right now, the only person who can fix this is God. And I don't think that he is trying to fix this. I don't know. I've been trying to get this thing together, trying to get my life right. I mean, I've been trying to get this right since even before 2008. My family has been trying to help me get this right, but the whole thing is you run into people who just resist at every moment, because people, from what I've seen, in some cases, they want to be comfortable at these jobs. They want to be your friend, not understanding this is work. I mean, what I found interesting is when I was working at Strive, they talked about how this is work and there are no friends. But they were ironically talking about they were a family at the time, but the whole organization deteriorated. But the whole thing is that I've been trying to get things together, trying to get stuff going, and the viewer wanted to know how this was affecting me. Well, it's been affecting me again for the last year, because I know, again, I only got maybe 12, 15 years left before I turn 65, if I even get to 65, because guys like Kevin Samuels didn't even get to even 53 or 55 because of the stress that a black man has. And a lot of people don't understand the stress a black man has, because a lot of us, we want to get success. A lot of us want to accomplish something in life. And we know that time is running out, because once you get too old, it's not going to happen. And we know it's not going to happen because it's near impossible to get something going. And I know at 50, that's when it's basically it's hard. It becomes next to impossible to get hired somewhere. I know it becomes next to impossible to get hired somewhere because everybody's afraid of you getting sick or getting of becoming ill as related to their health coverage. I mean, this is what I deal with again every day as related to things. And again, people could have helped out at the time when I was 34 and helped me get hired, but they all wanted to hire women instead of a man. And again, that's what I ran into with CUNY as related to all of the discrimination. Again, discrimination that was hard to prove because they'll hire a black woman and say, oh, we're all about diversity and inclusion, but they exclude black men, and it makes it hard for us because we've got to try to build a life for ourselves. And that's what I've been trying to do, and that's what I've been doing for the last year and a half, is trying to deal with this stress as I've been trying to run the SJS Direct imprint, because I'm trusting in God at this point. Because it's all in His hands at this point. I can't make people do something they don't want to do. I can't open the eyes of the blind and the spellbound. I can't open the eyes and the minds of those who are just caught up in their own world and their own rules. I mean, I can't fix this myself, and unless God fixes it, I can't make somebody give me a job. I can't make somebody go out here and hire me. I can't force somebody to do something they don't want to do. I mean, unless something breaks as related to God opening up somebody's eyes and seeing the work that I do, or me being able to get stuff going with one of my book projects or get something going, I have to trust in God at this point, and that's what I'm doing, in spite of my whole situation getting to a point where I'm having these health issues and these stress issues. I'm trusting in God at this point because He's the only one who can solve this whole situation, and I'm trusting in God. That's the only thing I'm doing, because the only thing that keeps me going is His promise, where He told me to keep going, and I'm going to keep trying to go as long as I possibly can. Now, I hope this answers everything for the viewer as related to the issues as related to my health. And if you want to talk about anything in a video, want me to talk about anything in a video, you can send a donation to the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box for a minimum of $15, or you can send a donation to the PayPal by clicking the link for the PayPal. And you can also help out by picking up some of the books on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the Steam series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, my vampire novel Eternal Night, or my black sorority novel The Thetas, or my black business novel A Recipe for Success. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and coming to Kindle Unlimited, John Haynes, Dark Succubus. The man who rules the world is tempted by a sultry succubus in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Dark Succubus in paperback or pre-order on Kindle Unlimited today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.